Well, you know how much I like to cook, and I'm always looking for new recipes. And today, Janine found some real good recipes for me. Where are we?
We're cooking some beer today, and we're on location again. The girls are on the road this season, and we're at the Susquehanna Brewing Company, and we're with one of the owners, Fred Meyer, and we're going to start brewing, right?
Yep, we're doing it right now.
All right, so we're going to show you today how you make beer and all of the specialty beers that you have here, and tell you a little bit about the history of both families and how you guys got started here today.
Sounds great.
All right, so we're starting with step one, the process.
Actually, this is, to simplify it, this is malted barley. This is where we get the core of brewing beer, is the sugar we remove from this grain. And it's a cereal grain barley that goes through its own process called malting, where they germinate it and they start breaking down the plant matter into simple fermentable sugars.
Okay.
And what makes us unique is this is our German-built mill, and it's specially engineered for, this is the husk that we remove from the grain. Now the husk has zero fermentable value to it, and it adds a harshness, mouthfeel, a little bitterness to it. So we just had some simple engineering here, and as this husk is being created, it gets conveyed away, but we need it later in the process during the lautering phase. It's a filtering process, so this forms a natural filter medium in which to strain the sugar from the grain.
All right, so I think we're going to take part in some of the process, so let's go do that.
All right, sounds good. After the grain goes through the mill, the grist gets mashed in, gets mixed up in this vessel here, and this is a mash tun. So basically,
I feel like I'm going in a submarine.
So I was just going to say the same thing. It's like opening up a sub.
just all you're really doing in here comes the water steaming out.
Ooh,
But you're steeping the grain, and that activates enzymes, which start to breaks down the starches into simple fermentable sugars.
Or you can get a beer facial.
It sort of smells like breakfast, but yet dessert.
Yes,
You know,
well, that's
it's a
it's
combination.
a good nose, because we're making a pumpkin beer right now,
Oh, see?
and that is the cereal grains, but then it's finished off with cinnamon and nutmeg and ginger.
So you can have beer for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, is
it's
what you're telling
always
us.
it's always appropriate around here.
Okay.
But after it gets mixed in here, and it basically just makes like a porridge-like substance.
Okay.
And it steeps. It steeps for about an hour. And all that's doing is just breaking down the sugar. We want the sugar, we don't want the grain.
All right.
The grain is where we get our sugar from, but that's the end result, because the yeast eats sugar, makes CO2 and alcohol.
Right now, it's like when you come up with the beer that you have, how do you do so, and how do you know it's going to taste good?
Well, you don't know it's going to taste good until you actually make it, but it's funny, just this morning we're always thinking into the future. So today we sat around and tried, I would say, a half a dozen of this summer's beers, just to say, what do you like? What don't you like? What do you want to do differently? And the brewer just takes notes.
Isn't that great? Wake up in the morning and, let's try a couple dozen beer.
Yeah.
What the heck?
After the sugar's converted, we move on to, this is the lauter tun.
Okay.
And actually, we're doing it right now.
Good.
So you can see, this is a very long, slow process, but it's one of the most important, because this is where the grain and the sugar solution, is called wort, is now transferred into the kettle, and the spent grains are left behind. By the time all of this, you can see it slowly. Are we mixing? No, they haven't started transferring it yet. It slowly starts to fill this up, and you want a clean wort. Just makes your beer better down the road.
Okay.
And then when we get done here, we're left with the spent grains, and they get transferred outside and into a trailer, and a farmer comes and picks them up and feeds his cattle.
How about
They
that?
have happy cows.
Yes.
So from the first start of the process to the end, how long does it take to get that the beer ready for bottled and to be?
Well, it takes about 8 hours from milling into the fermenter.
Okay.
Now, it depends on what we're making. It takes 7 to 10 days to ferment a beer, and then you age it. Ales only age for about a week. a week and a half, but lagers age for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks.
Okay.
Lagering is literally a German verb for to store.
So it could take 2 months to get that beer ready.
Yep. Yep, our Oktoberfest lagered for a long time. It's
All
a
right, and
traditional Marzen style beer.
Can't wait to taste that seasonal beer.
This is the first wort runoff of the lautering process. And you can see there's the extraction of the sugar solution from the grain. So this is like sickeningly sweet. This hurts your teeth, but that's what we want. And as the process continues, it gets less and less sugary. So it's a combination of the 50 barrels of liquid coming out of here is to meet our specific gravity of sugar content. And that's what the yeast eats and turns into beer. So after it takes about 8 hours to cook and turn into wort, these are really the workhorses of the brewery. They're the fermenters. And they're not very exciting, but the beer just likes to sit. And basically inside of these tanks, this is where the yeast goes to work on the sugar solution. It creates alcohol and CO2. And after about 7 to 10 days, the yeast is done. You close the valves and you turn the temperature down, and the yeast just goes to sleep, settles to the bottom of the beer. It starts to clarify itself.
All right, so it
for our
goes in here to
ales-
be filtered, and how long does it stay in here?
Oh, as long as a couple days, depending on when we use it. This is our hot water tank. That's cold water tank. This hot water goes into the brewing process, and then we use refrigerated cold water. It runs counter to the hot wort in a heat exchanger. It goes in at 34 degrees. It comes out 140, 150 degrees. It's filtered processed water. It goes right into the hot water tank. We brew with that next. So you're recycling the heat.
Okay, so now where does beer get that bubbly?
Well, after it takes 8 hours to brew beer, 2 to 4 to 6 weeks to ferment and age, goes through filtration, and it ends up in these bright beer tanks.
Or it's like making a baby.
All it takes is after that it's bright filtered beer ready to be packaged. And actually this right here is a carbonating stone.
Okay.
So you put this under pressure with CO2, and the temperature of the beer, it's ice cold, it's 34 degrees, and the pressure of the CO2, it just naturally takes on the bubbles, takes on the carbonation. CO2 is a natural preservative, so your bottled beer gets slight little bit more carbonation. That's why you should always pour your bottle into a glass. Let it breathe.
Oh, you shouldn't drink from the bottle.
No, I mean you can, but
let it breathe like wine.
Yes, it's let the head out, let the CO2 out, form that head, and that head is literally like little hop perfume pellets, and the aroma fills your nose, and it's part of flavor.
So you open the bottle and let all that stuff come out first, and then drink
by
it.
drinking it right out of the
This
package.
is the cool part. Like, this is the fun, like the bottling part.
And this is actually pretty neat because this is one of our most technical pieces of equipment. It keeps all the oxygen out of beer. Quality control and the best bottle of beer is our #1 priority here.
My mom always says it's like Laverne and Shirley making the
Exactly. Only you
line, the
took away
process
our
line.
job with the beer capping machine, but we are quality control, as you always say. Make sure that you have a quality product from start to finish, and you have real people here, even though you have machines, but you still have people here that are controlling
Watching
it.
and babysitting,
right?
always watching.
I'm so excited because when we come back, we're gonna taste the beer finally. I can make
Yay.
beer.
I'm so thirsty. I heard so much about it, and I can't wait to taste
Jeff's
it.
gonna drink beer. I cannot wait for this. Stay
That's
with
the
us.
best part.
Yes. All right, we bottled the beer. Now we're going to learn about the history, and we're going to talk with the owners of the Susquehanna Brewing Company. And the slogan here is "People Beer by Beer People," right?
That's a
That's
good
correct.
All
slogan.
right, and I
correct.
love that. That makes so much sense. So, tell us about you guys.
Well, we have the partners here. This is Ed Meyer.
Okay.
And we have Mark Noble. And these two guys are the owners of this great facility. It's a pretty new venture as far as the building goes, but it's not new for you, is it?
No, it's not new at all for us.
Tell us how you got started in this.
Well, I got started in it with my family owned the Stegmeyer Brewing Company.
And that's a
So I
familiar
was
name.
born into the brewing industry, and when I graduated, during high school and college, I worked in the brewery, and then I started for the Stegmeyer Brewing Company when I graduated from college in 1972.
And the rest, as they say, is history. How did you meet this guy, Mark?
Well, in the meantime, I became a beer wholesaler, And Mark's family was a wholesaler from 1934. And we were competitors, and then in January of 2004, we merged our two companies.
Born into beer, both of you. That's so neat.
correct.
And it's so amazing here that we have this right here in Pittston, Pennsylvania, and your families also are involved.
That's correct. My daughter Mallory is in the public relations department and works in the office, as well as Ed's son Fred is one of our partners.
All right, and we talked to him recently about making the beer. What did it take to actually bring this equipment into this facility? Because obviously this is a huge investment on both your parts.
As far as our prior life, we were beer distributors in this building.
Okay.
We had a large beer distributorship called United Beverage. And in 2010, we sold United Beverage, and we kept our facility. We sold our brands and our franchises, and immediately began to turn the facility into a brewery. So the equipment came from various parts of the world, Germany for our brewing, and Czechoslovakia for our labeling and bottling, and that's how we started to put it all together. So we finally opened in 2012.
And you're in different establishments in the northeast part of Pennsylvania.
We're in 39 counties right now in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So you basically started from the ground up as far
Yes.
as you were born into the business. You have beer in your blood.
Yes, yes, and so does Mark. His
So
family,
does Mark.
his family goes back to Prohibition.
Right, some will say my grandfather was a bootlegger, but in 1934 he became a beer distributor, and he distributed beer his whole life, and I took over that company in 1979. And as Ed said, we got together in 2004.
Did you ever dream that you would own your own facility one day?
Never dreamed to be in brewing, but it certainly is a lifetime of dreams come true.
Well, we
And
hope
this
that
is
you
only
have a
the
lot
beginning,
more.
right? Because this is only the start of the company. You have some aspirations down the road, and I know other generations taking some responsibility on with the growth of this place.
We've been fortunate enough to be able to put a facility up that's a state-of-the-art facility.
Right.
So as brewing goes, we're a national story. We're not only a local story. So we really have the potential to grow not only locally, but regionally and hopefully someday nationally.
All right. Well,
Well,
I
I
think
wish you all the luck in the world. You look like you have a great start. You have everything you need behind it. And we're going to go on to taste the beer. So
And talk about-
make sure you stay with us because we're going to see where you can get these great shirts and hats and all the other great things that they do here with their fundraisers. So stay with us. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the girls. We're here at the Susquehanna Brewing Company, and I am with the head brewmaster.
Brewmaster,
This is Guy Hager.
Hagner.
And you are the guy that controls everything here at the brewery. So tell me, what's your day like when you get here? How do you start with everything, and how do you know what beer is good, what beer isn't good? What specifically does a brewmeister do?
Well, the main job is to ensure that we make the beer that is needed for the sales and production, but obviously it needs to be done at a very high quality level. So that's one of the great things about this brewery is that we have a very sophisticated system that enables us to do state-of-the-art brewing.
So in other words, what do you have to control? What is the quality control here? The temperature or the taste?
It's
or what
everything
is it?
from the receiving of the raw materials through the brewing, through the yeast management and the fermentation, the aging and lagering of the beer, through the filtration, packaging, everything.
Okay, so then all the different specific recipes, if they have specialty beers and whatever, do you help come up with those, or are you in control of what goes in to make it? Is it, you said the quality control, it's like
Yes.
you're going to be using a pumpkin, let's say, for instance,
Yep,
you have
yep.
to check the quality of the pumpkin as well, right?
Well, certainly, and the different mix of ingredients is something that we strive to keep consistent. And yes, the brewmaster typically does formulate the recipes in a brewery. I like to think we do a very good job of making traditional styles of beer, but we also do some more interesting craft styles.
And how
in
long have
addition.
you been doing this?
I've been in brewing a little over 30 years. I've been here with the company since January of 2012.
Well, that's great. All right, Janina.
well, it's
we're
like
gonna
having
learn-
like the witch's brew.
The
It's like
witch's
the
brew,
brew,
exactly.
grabbing his chemistry. And so what do you graduate into, become a brew master?
Well, my college degree was in economics with a minor in German. However, I did go to brewing school in Chicago.
Okay.
That was in 1986.
All right.
Well, you've been brewing up some great stuff here.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, we're going to try some of the great beer that you have, and Fred is going to give us some samples of the kind of beer that are on tap. And also, it's a great time of year with Oktoberfest and the seasonal beers that you have, which takes actually a year of planning. So
Takes a
you've been
lot of
working on this
planning,
since
yes.
last October. You said this is what worked. This is what worked this year. This is what we're going to do for next year.
It takes more time to get everything together than you can imagine. The beer is kind of one of the fastest parts of it, but if you want to put it in a bottle, in a case, and do all that, it takes a lot of planning and a lot of moving forward. You got to go through the federal government, so there's a lot of steps in the process.
All right, so take us through the beer that we're going to try today.
Well, actually, I mean, guys could tell you more of the technical aspects of the beer. Our first beer, our most sessionable product, would be our Golden Cold Lager.
We'll let you
Pour you
pour
a
the beer.
sample here.
How about it?
Would you each like one?
A sample of like the whole. By the end, we will be slurring our words. Maybe we should just do a little,
There you go.
maybe like a sip. Okay, so this is.
This is the Golden Cold Lager. This is our best-selling beer. It's
Okay.
a German-style golden lager beer. I like to say, if you've seen pictures of beer halls and beer gardens in Germany where they're drinking big liter mugs of beer, this is the style of beer that it's intended to be.
Very light, good for anybody, and it's a beer that you can have with really anything, right? Anytime.
Anything, yep.
I'm asking Fred, like he's like, yeah, of course. I drink beer in the morning.
It smells good too.
I think we should have Deb finish that one.
All right.
Right.
Well, I'll finish that one later on, or I won't be able to finish the
All right.
show. Let's try the next one.
And I'll pour you a sample of our Pils Noir. This is a very innovative beer. It's a black Pilsner,
Okay.
and this has gotten a very good reception.
Wow, look how dark that is.
This is a darker beer.
It is
See
dark,
that?
but it's not necessarily very heavy or bitter, which a lot of people think of with dark beer. It's actually a nice, refreshing, but delicious beer.
I know your mouth is watering at home.
Give me that.
I know it.
Drink that with their eyes closed because it's technically about the lightest beer we make, alcohol and calorie-wise.
Really?
Yep.
So girls, get on it.
It is
Right?
light.
It's
got a lot
very,
of
very
flavor,
light.
but
I had
it's
to go
drinkable.
Back in. It's almost like a root beer.
We were talking during the break, and beer is actually good for you.
Absolutely. It's the natural ingredients that we use. All malt brewing has the antioxidants and just it's heart health for moderate consumption. So it does have a lot of added health benefits.
Okay.
We're going to be healthy after today. That's for
Next.
darn sure.
This is the 6th generation stock ale.
I feel like we're modeling. Next.
And this is a very interesting beer. The traditional regional breweries in the United States years ago, before Prohibition, would typically make a German-style lager, but then they would also make a stock ale, which was a bit more amber, heartier, and a bit hoppier than the lager. It's not as hoppy as something like an IPA or some of today's craft brewed pale ales, but it's got a nice, solid character to it.
Well, this is making me hoppy.
It's a people beer, right?
Yeah.
Very good. And these you have on tap all the time.
Yes. Yeah, the 4 regular beers are the Golden Cold, which you've tried, the Pils Noir, the 6th generation, and then the one I'm going to pour you now, which is the Hop 5 IPA. Now, this was the last of our 4 regular beers that we produced. And
I love his sampling. It's a whole class of beer.
well, I don't want to
How many
shortchange you.
different varieties are there?
Well, there's 4 regular beers, and this is, as I said, the last of the 4 that we developed.
I think I'm going to burp. I'm sorry.
This is
Comes
I
with
know,
the beer.
right?
This is called Hop 5 IPA because there's 5 different hops that are used, and it's quite hoppy compared to our other beers. It has a nice, strong
Hoppy.
hop flavor and a good, solid hop flavor.
Yummy.
I don't know which one I like the best. I think I have to
We're
go
gonna
back and
decide.
test them
We're
all
gonna
again.
decide in a little bit.
Okay,
Wait,
well
because
then-
I'm really eager for the Oktoberfest.
Right, we have the 5th one coming
The
up.
last one is our Oktoberfest, which we just came out with.
And it literally smells like pumpkin pie in here, doesn't it?
Well, that's because we just finished brewing our pumpkin beer, which should be out in a few weeks.
All righty.
Last but not least, the
The
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest.
I don't know if I want to share this one with her.
Wait.
Here,
Now,
Just get it right from
get
the
her
tap.
hand, get her mouth under the tap.
Oktoberfest beers are traditionally a nice,
good.
rich, amber, malty beer brewed in celebration of the fall.
Yeah.
And we
Comforter. It's like they have comfort food. It's like a
Yes.
comfort beer.
After you taste so many beers, how can you taste test so many? I mean, what do you do in between? You have to eat like a big roast beef sandwich or what?
Drink water and some unsalted saltines.
And is there
That
a
helps
certain
it.
way to taste the beer? Is it like how you taste
this?
wine? You pour it and swish it around your mouth or what? Just let it
Chug it.
Oh, yeah. Give it a good smell and
Here's the thing, although beer is mostly made out of water, when I drink a beer, I want it to have some texture. I want it to have, you know, some richness to it. And I think really, and I'm not just saying this because you guys are from the area, but you really have a good background, a good team of people here, a lot of experience with both your families involved in this since you were, you know, conceived and born, all of you. Your generations and generations involved with beer making. It's why not look for, you know, Susquehanna Brewing Company as, you know, your beer, because you are in, I believe you said about 36 different places? Was it?
36 counties.
Counties. Okay, well, I got the 36 right, so I'm listening. But
You're
now
on a buzz, I think.
I'm
You're
on
on a
my
beer
second
buzz.
beer, so I don't know. Mom might have to finish the show soon.
Well, it is the people's beer.
Right, it is. So we also have merchandise. These are very yummy, but you're teasing me now with the pumpkin beer, so you're gonna have to try that. Definitely ask for that beer, or stop by here in the Pittston area. Pittston, Pennsylvania, you do tours,
Tours Friday at 5, Saturday at 2 o'clock.
and you do nonprofit fundraisers, which I love that idea.
Nonprofit events. I mean, it's a unique space with a lot of good talking points, so it's kind of the space is free. You know, it's the only thing we provide. It's clean, but it's
You have a website.
Yep,
You have-
www.spcbeer.com.
You have merchandise that we're wearing today, and
All of our shirts
menswear,
and
and all different kinds of things. And again, this is just the beginning of what you guys want to do here.
Yep.
Anything in closing, Mr. Brewmaster?
Well, I appreciate you guys coming. We have an exciting lineup of beers, and we have a number of seasonals and specialties that will be coming out in the next few months.
So we're going to look
for
forward
them.
to the
What's your
girls'
favorite?
beer.
Before you
You're
go.
gonna come with the girls' beer. You know, girls drink
Could be
beer.
a pink glass.
So it's
Yay!
a pink label. And we'll have the girls' beer. We'll come up and launch it for you. And we'll be your taste tester.
How about it? Which one is your favorite? This is Oktoberfest, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's Oktoberfest. I think I actually like this one. I wasn't quite sure.
Which one is that?
That's the Oktoberfest. The one next to it was Pils Noir.
I love the dark beer, which I like this one. This is Oktoberfest, right?
All right, well, I don't know if we're finished here because
See
I
you
have all
all
these
later.
beers to drink.
We have things to do, people to see.
All I can tell you is cheers, guys.
The people beer. I love that. People beer by beer people, right?
Yeah.
Here on The Girls, we're on location all season. If you have any suggestions, you can check us out on Facebook. Again, please, I highly recommend stopping by here, Susquehanna Brewing Company, right here in the Pittston area. I would share my beer with you, but you get it all day long, so these
my
are for
goodness.
me.
Well, here.
Right?
We have to toast.
All right. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.